Welcome to the Shyamcast. My name is Brett.
My name is Shyam.
We're glad you could join us today. Prabhuji, so today I was hoping we could talk about the three modes of material nature. So this is a topic that I guess is very, very broad. The three modes of material nature. It's a big subject in Bhagavad Gita. There's a lot of there's a lot of discussion on this topic. And so, today we'll probably just sort of skim the surface more or less. Really just, kind of introduce, this topic. What are the three modes of material nature? Kind of discuss each one a little bit and see where we go from there. So,
yeah, it's a big topic. I think such topics takes many sessions because to understand, my personal experience took me 10 years to get a feel of these. They're really complex. It's easy to understand theoretically. It's difficult to actually see them in action.
Okay.
It's easy to understand them.
So my knowledge is theoretical, as I'm describing. I think you're like that's very true. But yeah,
it's complex. That's it. I don't see them also, but we have some understanding. But it's good to discuss and go deeper in these, and it's good for us, good for everyone.
Yeah, very good. I think the three modes, at least for me, like it seems like one of the most practical aspects of spirituality, of spiritual teachings, of the Bhagavad Gita, that it's like when you learn about it, it's sort of really, it helped me to see the world in a different way and to view like my own life situation, my own mental states of being, kind of maybe more clearly in a different light. So yeah, it's a topic that is interesting to me.
So let me hear what you have to say about your understanding.
Sure. My understanding of the three modes.
How would you explain?
Well, it's all three. My understanding is theoretical. I think we should make that clear. But I'm playing with you. But okay. One of the thing I wrote down from the Bhagavad Gita that just pertains to all three modes, the modes in general, is that like it says like from the time you're born, right after you're born, you sort of start to become influenced by the modes of nature. Like, it's there. I guess you can think of them as like forces, right? The forces of nature that sort of condition us toward particular actions, particular mind states, feelings. So, the best example that I feel like I've heard is of like the three primary colors. You can kind of think of the three modes of nature as the three primary colors, and how like just with yellow, red, blue, you can make like this whole spectrum of color. You can make the whole color spectrum just using different levels and combinations of these three colors. And so in a similar way, you can take these three modes of being. I guess we can introduce them. There's the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. And using these three modes, you can sort of combine them, have different levels of them to create.
So you're comparing these three modes to three different colors.
To the colors,
okay.
Like to the color spectrum, I guess, and how you can make all these different colors from these three primary colors, right? And similarly, like you can create all these different, like the spectrum of states of being, like all different mind states, emotions, different kinds of action, even things like are you feeling motivated or not motivated? What are you feeling motivated to do? Sort of like what's your intention? It goes deep like into thoughts and I guess desires. Yes, definitely. So it's just like kind of like the state of your being, and so all these different states of being you can create just from these three different modes. The example I have is like if you go to a program like I think Photoshop does this, some other programs where you want to really like hammer down the particular color of a font, say, or something like that. You can open up this big like color wheel or big color spectrum where you have every color represented, and one color fades into another, and you have like light and dark shades of all these various colors. And like if you were to click on one particular point of that color spectrum, you'd get levels of red, yellow, and blue. It would tell you there's this much red and this much yellow, this much blue. So like, for example, like if you clicked on a light green kind of color, it would, probably tell you, okay, yellow, there's a lot of yellow in this. And then there's some blue, less blue than yellow, but still some. And then a little bit of red, like maybe not none, but maybe just like a tiny bit of red. And so I think, similarly, like if you could try to just take a snapshot of, at any particular time, because these modes are sort of always changing and, moving like as we go about our days, but, they're always like in combination with each other, like the way that colors are. So if you were to, get that little snapshot of like just a particular moment in time, whatever you were feeling, whatever you were thinking or doing, you could kind of like read the levels maybe if you had that ability, like, oh, there's so much goodness, there's so much passion, and there's so much ignorance in that one particular moment. And then, as you move along throughout your day, they sort of move up and down, change, fluctuate, as if you were sort of, moving your cursor around on this color spectrum and, changing the color. So I guess that's the best way that I can try to like visualize it, try to think about it. So yeah, what do you think about that example?
Yeah, it's a it's a wonderful example. I was thinking of some small children. Like, okay, before we get into it, would you like to give us short understanding of three modes? Like mode
Just
of goodness.
Brief overview.
Yeah. And then once we have that set up, and then we can discuss more about some examples, and
Yeah, for
that
sure.
will be easier.
So first we'll do mode of goodness. So the Sanskrit name for this is sattva guna. These are called the three gunas, because guna means mode of nature. So sattva guna is the first one, the mode of goodness. So it's basically, according to Bhagavad Gita, it's characterized by the two main words that are used the most in connection with it are happiness and knowledge. So it says, it's illuminating. It's the illuminating mode of nature. So it's like associated with light, with knowledge, understanding, like clear sight, and really, I guess, just kind of generally being satisfied and happy with what you have. It's not really about like reaching out for things, trying to acquire things. I think someone who's sort of in mode of goodness, or who has a lot of the mode of goodness, is just sort of happy with what they have. And I guess, is sort of seeing clearly. We have, I guess, a lot of times, like, people will tell each other maybe just in our culture, as far as I know, but it's like, you need to wake up, or you need to, wake up to this or that fact, or open your eyes. I think that phrase is used a lot. And someone who's in the mode of goodness, like, has their eyes open, if that makes sense. It's like they are sort of just, they're seeing things clearly. They're seeing things the way that they are. And I think it sort of suggests anyway that seeing things the way that they really are just sort of naturally leads us to a happy state of mind. Yeah, what do you think? Would you add, subtract anything there?
I think you covered it all. Happiness, satisfaction, peaceful, grateful,
Mm.
calm, deep thinkers. These are some of the signs that somebody is living in goodness.
Yeah, very good. So then there's the mode of passion, which is called Rajoguna. So the mode of passion is characterized by, I suppose, action, but sort of action with the intent to like achieve or acquire. It says, so in Bhagavad Gita, it says it's born of unlimited desires and longings. So it's like, it's that mode of like where you just really want something. You just want stuff. Or people, or, just like whatever it is, you just have like this desire. And it's sort of like, that frame of mind of desiring it and sort of going after it.
And I was relating it to our last talk on attachment.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you said, longing, deep desire, I really want it. And then what happens when we really want something? And then we realize, oh no, I'm not getting it. And sadness.
Yeah. So that sort of leads into the next mode of nature, I suppose, right?
Yes. Then we go into
so that would be tamogun.
Tamogun.
Yeah, which is the mode of ignorance. One of the characteristics of the mode of ignorance is sadness. It doesn't mean that if you feel sad, you are ignorant or are an ignorant person, but it's also, it's also called the mode of darkness. I think tamo actually means darkness.
Yeah.
That's right. So, like darkness in the sense of not being able to see clearly. It's described in Bhagavad Gita as sort of a state of kind of like delusion or being under an illusion. I guess that example of when people say, you need to open your eyes, you need to see, wake up or whatever. This would be people who are, those people are saying it too, I suppose. And also it's sort of like, I guess if you take it to the extreme, it results in like madness, just states of maybe like mental instability, basically, where you're just not seeing reality, I guess, as it really is. Like we would say in the spiritual sense, you're just not at that time able to see things as they truly are. And that causes, feelings of sadness, maybe even feelings of anger. I guess it's obviously the more negative side of, the three modes. It's sort of like, I guess at any given time, we have this balance of all of these, or this combination of these different modes that, we're going under. I'm curious, Prabhuji, I guess I have like a basic idea of myself, like what are the modes that are sort of most impactful on me? Because, while it is a combination, there's also, in certain instances, there tends to be one that's maybe more dominant.
Yeah, they fight among each other.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. Because it does say in Bhagavad Gita that they're always competing. Like that's sort of what they do with each other, is they're always sort of competing for which one is going to act.
Supremacy.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, we can cut this if you don't want it in here. But, which modes do you feel the modes, like, as you go about your day? Is it something that you think about where it's like, I can really feel that I'm in this particular mode right now, or I really feel like I've been struggling with some ignorance or with some passion, or, whatever it is. Do you feel those modes, like, as you go about your day?
Only when we come to goodness, we will see the action of passion and ignorance. When we are situated on a spiritual platform, then we can see the action of goodness, passion, ignorance. When we are going through depression, envy, anger, we cannot think how I'm being forced by an inner mode. We will just act on those. But then when we come to passion, then we realize I was influenced by that mode. we cannot see what we are going through.
So you have to kind of
Rise.
get to maybe a level above,
To
and then you
see.
can kind of, look back on it.
And when you see yourself, you see everyone.
Mm.
That's how you can see the world.
Mm.
Because you see everything. But it's only possible the the moment we raise our consciousness.
Mm.
When we are in it, we cannot see it.
Mm.
We are just driven by it.
So I mean, just to get a little bit more into one thing you mentioned, like that it's it's a force that's acting on us.
Yes.
I guess, or like these are forces that are acting on us. So, can you maybe talk a little bit about that specifically? Just it's like,
For example.
How can we think of it?
Yeah. For example, I'm really longing for something. I wish I can acquire this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk to this person. I can get this job. And that's something I'm really longing. And that doesn't happen. Now when I'm longing, why is that longing there? Is that longing my longing? Or is it longing or whatever attachment I have? That attachment, I may think this is what I want. I would love that thing. But then I may not be able to see I'm forced to have those desires because of the influence of this Rajoguna, mode of passion.
Mm.
It's like Krishna says there is something called ahankar, false ego.
Mm.
And false ego makes what the desire being forced by the modes, the false ego makes us think it's what I want. And the false ego brings us in the front, take the whole software which is forcing us behind, and makes us the feeling of a doership.
So it makes us feel like we're choosing, say, to feel this way. For example, like, I want this thing because I choose to want it, I guess. It gives us that sense.
I really want, if I get this, I'll be happy.
Mm.
We long for it, desire, we are dreaming about it.
Yeah.
It's all mode of passion is like, like a key. Have you seen those toys? Fill the key, you leave it,
Like
it moves.
Yeah, you spin the little thing on the back.
So that internal software is the software. Software means nothing moves. It's just a force.
Mm.
But when we act, that is the force which is making us act.
Mm. So how then could we potentially say, change our position? Like, where, basically, maybe I'm asking, where does free will come into the picture? Like, if these are forces, that are sort of acting on us, sort of, I guess maybe guiding us to believe that we're more in control than we are. Where is our control, I suppose? Like, and if we're in one of these lower modes and it's like, well, I would like to be happy and satisfied. I would like to have knowledge, but what could I do to get there? What are some of the steps that I can do to get there?
Like, how do we become free from this control? Or,
well, maybe not even necessarily how do we become free from them, but just sort of how do we sort of change or improve our position, if we're sort of in a particular state, we're either sad or maybe we're really passionate. It's like, I just kind of want to get out of this. It's like, say if you're in the, like a really crazy job or something, it's like, I just want to get out of this rat race of competition.
The moment that thought comes, you are in goodness. Goodness is triggered. When passion is there, we'll just be in that race. Like how these modes compete. The the thought comes, I want to come out of it. Thinking has started. Thinking, seeing things as they are, sense of satisfaction, mode of goodness.
So it's like just noticing
Noticing.
where you're at.
If you rise above the mode, you notice a lower mode.
Otherwise, you're just sort of in it. Yeah. Like if you're in, I guess some other things about passion. I mean, some other maybe like characteristics like greed is associated with passion. And I mean, I know like there's positive things to passion. Certainly, it's it's not all like a negative characteristic. Passionate people, for example, like they're sort of like go-getters. They're leaders. They're generous people. It's described. But there's a lot of things that go with it, I guess. So like, if I'm in this particular type of passion where it's like I'm just greedy, I just want more, which is very easy because it's sort of like the minute you reach an attainment, you get used to it very quickly. And then you just want to get to the next level of attainment. And then you get used to that. So it's like you're sort of just always striving to get to the next, and there never really appears to be an end to it. So it's sort of like if you ever reach a point where you're like, I think I just kind of want to stop getting out of this cycle of just sort of always wanting the next better thing. That itself is mode of goodness, is what you're sort of is raising yourself up to another level.
I want this. This is better. I want to achieve this. I don't want this. Passion. Because I'm still longing. But my longing is for something higher. Thought, oh, this is making me so much anxiety, stress, and I'm losing myself. I'm being flown, and this is putting me in so much distress. That thought of coming out and seeing our action and seeing how we are bound by those thoughts, and we are going deeper and deeper into it and creating a lot of anxiety to acquire. Krishna says, mode of passion, a lot of anxiety. To see, oh no, which direction I'm going. Then that thought to come out is goodness. In goodness, we think. In passion, we run. In ignorance, we lay back. We don't think, we don't run. We are just lazy. Like dreamers, which never get into action.
Yeah, I guess that's why like sleep is a big characteristic of mode of ignorance. Anger.
Envy. Depression. Forgetting ourselves. No thinking. We lose. If we lose a mode of goodness, when he loses, he will be like, Krishna has a plan. Not thinking. Krishna is merciful. This is good for me. In passion, acceptance.
Yeah.
In ignorance, I want to end my life. I'm good for nothing. Like, I mean, we can use those words in common language also. We use generally for progress. I'm not making much progress. But then if we see in general, like really if you're getting depressed, ignorance.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate to that a lot. I mean, yeah. I mean, just having gone through, different bouts of depression and anxiety and things. Yeah. I mean, I think I asked you earlier about the modes. I was sort of thinking about how like, I just feel like the two modes that I are really fighting inside of me are like the goodness and the ignorance. And there's not like a ton of passion there. I feel like there's some there, but I just feel like it's my least present mode, so like, a lot of sleep, and I still like sleep a lot and things like that. But it's helpful for me to think of it in terms of these forces, like where it's, if you're you're in a bout of not feeling very good, you do have that kind of sense that, there's like a little bit of just like illusion there. You're just not quite seeing things, the way that they are.
Mm.
And I think there's sort of something very freeing about, this idea that if you can just recognize it, that's moving up, just sort of recognizing, oh, this is the state of mind that I've been in.
And I don't want that.
Yeah. And I don't want to do that.
Then
right?
we are acting in goodness.
Mm.
But then, for example, our discussion, right now, goodness, thinking, observing, discussion, philosophy, goodness.
Mm.
But then after some time, some anger may come. So immediately we change gears. Then some desires will come.
Mm.
Change gears. And then again, goodness will come. Change gears. So we may think I am changing, but it's really the modes.
Mm.
It's very hard to see that. You will feel very nice if you can see how I am controlled. But now, can we blame the modes? No. Which mode we are prominently in? Like, we all modes are changing, but then we have a prominent mode. Like, for example, we have some ignorance, we have some passion, we have some goodness. But then you may be prominently in goodness. That does not mean we are 100% goodness. But that may be prominent mode. But then there are those low phases also.
Mm-hmm.
But then for some, that low phase may be the prominent one. Whole day sleep or depression or every little thing, anger. That may be the prominent life.
Mm-hmm.
The change. Now, why somebody is behaving in a certain way, it's decided by our karma. Decided by our association.
So our karma, right? Another big topic, another,
Yeah.
you could say major force, I guess.
Yeah.
So karma is one factor, sort of just one of the major forces of, our actions.
Yes.
And then association is the other thing you said. So
Yes.
basically who we're around.
Yes. Let's speak a little bit about karma. I have noticed 2-year-old child gains happiness beating somebody.
Beating somebody.
Yeah. You're like.
Yeah, that was me. That was
and then
baby.
The other child start crying, and this person who bet, he feels proud. He's finding happiness in mode of ignorance. Another child, whatever toy everybody has, he wants that. If they are playing, I want it. And if he has the same toy the other person, he wants the one which other person has. Competition, selfish. And if he has something, he doesn't want to share. He wants everything for himself. He is driven by passion. Another child, he sees other one is playing. He
just feels good.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Not running in a race. They are fighting.
Mm-hmm.
He finds happiness in playing some balls or making some small children kitchen, or playing with some sand. They have their own place, but satisfied, doing little things. Something doesn't work, mother says do this, okay. Patient, silent. Goodness. 3 children born and they exhibit behavior almost instantaneously. Is it the problem of mode of ignorance that he's fighting and getting his happiness? Can we blame the modes? His past life, the prominent mode he has acquired, is reflecting now. So he's like this. He's like this or she's like this.
So karma would be sort of maybe like the greater force, you might say, that's sort of dictating, if we, because we all do have these different levels of the three modes. Again, it's like we cycle through them and they change, but a lot of times like one is maybe dominant, whether it's in our whole life as a whole, or even like in certain areas of our life. Maybe we go to work and suddenly we're in the mode of passion. We come home, suddenly we're in the mode of goodness or ignorance, something like that. But the greater force is karma, is the reactions from past lives.
Past life. The mode we are born in, very difficult to change. We'll see if a person is born in goodness, he may acquire some passion, some ignorance. Almost throughout the life, you will see his behavior will be goodness. Person who is passionate, you will see almost throughout the life, his behavior will be like that only. Always selfish, running, achiever, acquirer. Throughout his life, he'll be like that. You see ignorance, throughout the life, he'll be violent, killing, stealing, angry. He will have that behavior throughout his life. It takes many lifetimes to change the prominent guna.
I feel like that brings up some different things in my mind too. Like, so it makes sense, because people are born with different natures, different. Just like you say, it's like some kids are just like this, and other kids are totally different. There's also the factor, though, I guess, like of what we would say nurture. I think at least in the West, like there's a lot people talk about nature versus nurture a lot, like when it comes to our personalities, is it nature or is it nurture, or
what does nurture?
How would you, like basically how we're treated in life. It's like nurture is how you're raised. What kind of parents did you have? What kind of school did you go to? What kind of friends did you have?
That's association.
So association. Okay. So
that's why both factors.
Yeah.
One is karma, how you are born. The association will change your mode. If you're in passion, bad association can bring you in goodness. You're in passion, good association can bring you in goodness, but there's slight change. But generally, the way you are born, you have that thing with you for most part. Unless there is some severe incidents in life that switch the mode, it's very difficult to change. But it changes. Like if somebody is in ignorance, good association, maybe in some lifetimes, he will be very sattvic. But that's why there is now coming, like as you mentioned earlier, coming out. Secondary method is association, good things, which is another topic, another day. I don't think we can do justice to that now.
Sure.
On this. But I think for now, let's not discussing, just understanding the mode. Let that be the theme of today. Little bit understanding the mode. But just understanding we are bound.
That makes me think, so one of the things that, as Bhagavad Gita describes the different modes, I think each one, it says it binds us to something. Even the mode of goodness, like binds us, it's to happiness, it says. Binds us to happiness. And mode of passion binds us to attachment. Mode of ignorance binds us to delusion. Confusion maybe is a better word to use, like just being confused. So that's a curious thing to me, I guess. I mean, I understand maybe more with the other two modes, but when it comes to goodness, like how can we be bound to happiness?
This is with respect to a spiritual life. I have seen many people, we tell them, let's read Bhagavad Gita. They say, well, I don't do anything wrong. I am helpful to everyone. Then why do I need divine? I'm okay without him. Why? Because passion, they actually feel out of misery. They're like, I want to get out of it. Goodness, they think they are superior. They are better than others. They can see the lower mode. They have knowledge. So there is that sense of pride and happiness. I'm a good soul.
So it's like even if you're happy, even if you have knowledge, you see things clearly, you can still. It's sort of like, is it still your choice, basically? Like, I can either.
Yeah, definitely, Prabhu.
I can feel like I'm better than other people. Like I can see, oh, those people are confused. Those people are lost, trying to chase after things. I can either feel better than them, or I can, on the other hand, maybe try to ask what can I do to help them, or something
how
like
can
that.
I help them? Goodness.
Yeah.
The feeling that I'm better than others is actually passion.
So you can like go back down.
Yeah.
You see that. So it sort of works the opposite way of what we were talking about, right? Like you're in goodness and you go, I'm better than that person. And then you suddenly sort of like go down.
Because the thing is passion, longing, unfulfilled longing, misery. Because of longing, anxiety. Because I want it, so I'm anxious. Will I get it? Will I get it? I really want to get it. And then because I'm contemplating attachment. And then when it doesn't happen, destruction. I mean, misery, sadness, depression. And the joy was not there. It was only anxiety. Only anxiety was there to get it. And I'm not getting it, now misery is there. So all you get from that mode is anxiety and misery. Anxiety over the way, misery over the end. But the knowledge itself doesn't help. Because tomorrow will still long. We'll still be miserable. It's just the very powerful forces.
So this is where like the spiritual side of it comes in, or the spiritual practice really comes in, right? Which we'll just kind of like introduce, I guess, this time, with this episode, just sort of graze that surface. But, when it comes to the modes of nature, I guess the point isn't just say to get into goodness, to just get more and more into the mode of goodness. Because like, as you say, there are still pitfalls that go along with us, and it still binds us I guess to the world, to this, kind of life that we're living. So I guess, can you talk about, what is the larger goal when it comes to the three modes and our spiritual practice?
Purpose is to understand from what Krishna says. Once we understand, we start observing it in us. Then what Krishna says is the effect of those. We start observing that in us. And when we start seeing in us and seeing in others, first thing is we'll develop how wonderful is this book that speaks and introduces what I never thought about. And then when we see that in action, we feel like, wow. It's giving me a whole different perspective to see things, and I can observe. The vision of things changes from a normal perception to the perception of knowledge. Because the creator who has created is telling us how it is created and what are the forces that we cannot see and how they are acting. And when we understand them, it feels like feeling of knowledge. So first the understanding. And then once we have faith in, when we see something, then Krishna also gives like, how do we deal with them? First he tells us where you are, what is happening here. Then he asks us to observe us. And then once we get to that root, then he tells us, now come out of this. And then he tells us how to come out of this.
So you like come out of the three modes.
The forces.
Just try to
become free.
Get out of all three.
Yeah. Right now we are bound. So Krishna wants us to become free. When we are bound, so much problems. But we are in that machine and we are grinding ourselves. Krishna tells us how to come out of it.
So maybe we will discuss some more about how we come out of it next time. I suppose.
Yeah, I think there will be a sequel. Let it just be a basic understanding, and a lot can be said.
Yeah.
And we can resume this topic.